All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the recap. Michael D'Angelo. Normally, I am joined by my partner in crime, Mr. Big D, Daryl Ortiz. He had some prior obligations to take care of today, so we'll be happy to see him next week. Until then, you all are stuck with me, mustache and all. Apparently, I'm going for a different look, rocking the mustache. So glad that you all have joined me today here to talk about Elimination Chamber 2025. Which I will say, I'm going to call it a mixed bag. I'm curious to hear what you all thought in the comments as we go through it. There were only 4 matches for this one, and it kicked off with the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Now, we had both, I believe Big D and I both had picked Alexa Bliss to win. We were both wrong. It did not work out that way. It ended up starting off the way I think that we kind of had anticipated. We both had made the prediction that we thought Naomi would get eliminated prior to. And I'm going to stick with that and say that we were right, because there was a prior to elimination with Naomi where it was her and Liv Morgan starting off. And then Jade Cargill's music hit. They had already rung the bell. Technically, their match had started, but nobody had engaged yet. Jade Cargill came storming down to the ring. Looked great, by the way, physically. She looked amazing. And she stormed down, predictably attacked Naomi, as we've been saying on this show for months and months and months. We thought Naomi was the real perpetrator of the attack on Jade Cargill. Feels like this validated that. So she attacked Naomi, brutalized her to where Naomi could no longer continue on in the match. So we'll say we're partially correct there. My original prediction was I thought that was going to happen, and then we would see Becky Lynch return to take her spot. That did not happen. So Liv basically kind of got a bye for the first few minutes and just got to hang out. And then the match continued. So it was an interesting start. Had Jade do essentially that elimination. Then you had Roxanne Perez came in next. Then you had Bayley come in. Then Alexa Bliss came in after that. It was a good match overall. It was solid. There were some good spots. I believe Liv Morgan eliminated Bayley. Alexa Bliss eliminated Roxanne Perez. And then Liv eliminated Alexa Bliss. So the final 2 were Bianca and Liv. Actually, Bianca was the one who came in next after Naomi got brutalized. So it was Bianca and Liv Morgan starting off. And then Bianca and Liv were the final 2. This one came as a surprise, though. Bianca Belair did hit the KOD, and she won. She moved on to face Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. So there was somebody that predicted this in our comments last week as well. They said that their pick was for Bianca to win, and then she was going to advance, and it'd be Bianca versus Rhea Ripley. That's exactly what happens. Kudos to you for getting this one right. I really didn't see that coming. They haven't done much to really build up Bianca as a singles competitor recently. Obviously, she, was tagging with Jade, kind of helping in her development. Then with Jade moving out due to injury and working through that, you had her teaming with Naomi. They did drop the titles, so to Liv and Raquel, which kind of acted as like a little bit of a signal that something might happen here, and it was. So Bianca Belair advances. I think this is a good one. Bianca and Rhea is long overdue. So that should make for a compelling matchup. Both faces, so that'll be interesting how they play the dynamics on it. I presume Rhea is going to continue to maintain her championship hold and will win. So in some ways that feels a little anticlimactic, but should be a great match between the two. But congratulations, Bianca Belair wins the Women's Chamber match. After this, we got our second match of the night. Our other match featuring the ladies, Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus versus Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. This one went on longer than I expected it to. It was a really good match. Not a whole heck of a lot to talk about here other than Trish looked great. Physically, she looked great. She moved well, too. It wasn't a situation where she was kind of held out waiting for the hot tag the whole time. Like, she contributed quite a bit throughout this matchup. Looked really good. Did end up winning with Tiffany hitting the prettiest moonsault on Nia Jax, and she picked up the win for her team over Nia. You expected this was going to happen. Obviously, Trish Stratus isn't going to lose in Toronto, in her hometown. They've kind of gotten away from that a little bit in WWE. They've historically were kind of jobbing people out in their homes pretty consistently. It did not happen here, which was I'm glad to see. Trish looked great. I still love you, Trish. After all these years, still have that crush on you. You look as good as you did. I know you're not watching this, but kudos to you. After this, we had Sami Owens versus Sami Owens. Sami Zayn, might as well be Sami Owens. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens in their unsanctioned match. Although I will say, Adam Pearce kept saying on Monday night, this is going to be an unsanctioned match. There's not going to be a ref, but there was like 80 refs that kept coming out and they weren't wearing their ref shirts. They were like, these are unsanctioned referees. I'm like, well, I thought there was going to be no ref, Adam. Why are you having a ref out here? Obviously, you have to have a ref out there to count it, or the match will never end. There'll be no stop to it. It's just unsanctioned. So I'm glad that they kind of pseudo clarified that. It's like you still need to have this match progress and have a conclusion to it. Very brutal matchup as expected. Probably Big D enjoyed this one more than I did. For me, this just felt like this long overdrawn hardcore match that I really wasn't that emotionally invested in. I don't really like the whole KO cutting, cell phone promos from his car and trash talking people. Like this whole rivalry hasn't done a ton for me. Sami Zayn's great, but there just wasn't a lot of emotional investment in this one for me. It was good. It was pretty brutal. A barbed wire wrap chair when the Sami broke that out at one point looked cool. The Blue Thunder Bomb on top of that chair, where he had a position between the two chairs and dropped Kevin Owens on top of it, that looked pretty brutal. So they were good spots. Kevin Owens did eventually win, and then he was going to go and brutalize Sami even more, which is strange because there was probably like 20 referees and officials out there, but for some reason none of them could stop him from attempting a package pile driver, which seemed odd. He was like he pulled up the flooring to expose the concrete, and then he's like setting him up, and everyone's like, no, don't do it. It's like, just grab him, just stop. There's no reason for you to allow him to package pile driver Sami Zayn onto the ground. But for some reason they couldn't just grab a hold of him and stop him, or grab Sami and pull him away. But before he could, my prediction came true. You heard Randy Orton's music hit. Of course, the arena went crazy. Randy Orton came down, took out Kevin Owens, saved Sami, then kind of lined him up like he was going for the punt, which my original thought was, oh, is Randy Orton going to turn heel here? Are they going to take this as an opportunity to come back, have him brutalize both of them? That didn't happen. Did kind of tease the old legend killer, though, as he tried to line him up for the punt, which everyone ran in and tackled him before he could lay on the punt. I don't know why they couldn't run in and tackle Kevin Owens as he was lining up the package pile driver, and it took Orton coming out to stop that. But I digress. After that, Randy Orton just went wild, RKOing everybody in sight. It was cool. Good return. Randy Orton obviously looks great. Seems like they'll now build Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania. Again, not sure I really want to see that one, but it's the logical conclusion since Kevin Owens tried to end his career. Randy Orton was going to try to end his career with a punt, it looked like. So that'll be the continuation, most likely, as we head into WrestleMania season. That's probably how that one's going to go down. But all in all, solid match, pretty brutal match, obviously. And those were the first three matches, which led to our main event of the evening, which was the men's chamber match. This one was, well, we'll say it was interesting. It was what we expected in terms of the winner. So Big D and I both said John Cena was obviously going to win here. This was his final opportunity to get into the main event at WrestleMania. He was going to be the one facing Cody Rhodes, because that would be the main event of WrestleMania, probably the main event on night two. So this made perfect logical sense that Cena was going to end up winning. Started off, Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre started off the match. In next was Damian Priest. Then after that was Logan Paul, then John Cena, and then CM Punk last. That was the order that they came out. As far as order of eliminations, McIntyre got eliminated by Priest with a surprise roll-up of all things. They continue to do this. Drew McIntyre is too stupid to win a match. He allows himself to get bamboozled. So now that's the second time he's gotten bamboozled with Damian Priest. Damian Priest was the one who eliminated him at the Royal Rumble. So I think that's obviously the next rivalry that they're going to continue with is Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. They're both on SmackDown now. So they just continue. Drew makes tactical decision mistakes and he can't believe it. And then Logan Paul hit a frog splash from the top of the pod, which was cool, on Damian Priest. And that was his elimination. Logan Paul got eliminated by CM Punk, and then CM Punk and John Cena collectively eliminated Seth Rollins with a go to sleep followed by an attitude adjuster. And then CM Punk jumped on Rollins and got the pin. So your final two were John Cena, CM Punk. This was a cool ending, at least for me. I enjoyed the finish here where John Cena had CM Punk locked into the STFU, and he basically put him to sleep with it. So he held on to it until he passed out, and then the referee called it. So there wasn't a tap out. CM Punk kind of gets to save face. He had an extensive match. He took a lot of damage throughout the match, and then CM Punk was the one who ended up standing tall. Which leads to the real conclusion of this match and the real main event. I'm curious what all of you think about the shenanigans that transpired after this. So you had the match ends, you had Cody Rhodes come down and join John Cena in the ring. Then you had Travis Scott walk out with The Rock. I don't know why Travis Scott was there. He just kind of came out and he was holding the belt, The Rock's belt, and just kind of trailed with him and didn't do anything. He just kind of hung out with him the whole time. So I wasn't really sure what his purpose was other than just being Travis Scott and popping up on WWE programming from time to time. That felt unnecessary and kind of took away from it. And then you had The Rock come down and do his whole, hey, I need your answer. I want your soul. I want your soul and all that stuff. And, give me your mind and your soul. And if your answer is no, the dream dies again. And then, of course, Cody's told The Rock to go F himself. And I'll censor that. It wasn't censored at the time. I'll censor it for this because we're on YouTube. But he told him to go F himself. And you had John Cena doing too much of the hype man stuff in the background where you kind of tell him like, oh, something's happening here. Because John's a little bit too like, yeah, everybody, listen to what Cody's saying. And then he goes over and he gives a hug to Cody. And then you see his face get all like angry. And he's like, and then The Rock does like the throat slash with the two. And John Cena turns heel and attacks Cody Rhodes, beats him up, gets the brass knuckles, brutalizes him with the brass knuckles. The Rock gets the belt off and starts whipping him. They leave him bloodied and shirt torn off. And then they both stand tall over him at the end. So John Cena officially did a heel turn here. I don't know how I feel about this. So I will say this. I always enjoyed John Cena as a heel. He started his run. People forget he started out as the Doctor of Thugonomics, and he did his run as a heel initially, which I thoroughly enjoyed. That was always my favorite iteration of The Rock, was the Doctor of Thugonomics version. I remember his rivalry with Eddie Guerrero in the U.S. Championship when he beat Eddie in El Paso. I was there at that show on SmackDown, and he got beat down in front of his hometown. That was a bummer for me, but John was always in full heel to start his career. He hasn't done that, obviously, since then. Some people applaud this as, oh, they're finally doing the heel turn. I wonder, hey, this feels like it came out of left field. But they didn't tease a heel turn with him at all. So just to have him all of a sudden go like super heel and be aligning with The Rock is a little strange for me because they've done no build up to it at all. It's happening in his farewell tour, kind of like right early, I won't say early on, but we're getting kind of towards the middle of the farewell tour since he did the announcement. And why are you going to do it now at this point? You're going to have him abruptly heel turn in time for WrestleMania. I presume that means he's not going to win his 17th title because you're really going to have him win his 17th championship as a heel. I don't know about that. Sounds like maybe Cody will end up winning. Then what do you do? Are you going to have him be a heel for the rest of his run? Because he said he's done at the end of the year. So this feels like are you going to flip flop him? If they have him be a heel just for WrestleMania and then they flip flop him again, that seems pretty lame to me. If they have him just do the rest of his farewell tour, this is supposed to be him kind of taking a victory lap and getting applause from the crowd, people getting the chance to see him one last time. That feels like it takes away from the fact that it's his retirement turn, his victory run. If you're having him do the rest of it as a heel, I don't know that I appreciate the decision making here. I would love to have seen him do a heel run earlier on, or not earlier on, but more in the middle of his career once the Super Cena thing had people heckling him and booing him and doing the John Cena sucks chant. You do it there where it makes a little bit more sense because kind of like they did with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns couldn't get over his face no matter how hard they tried. The Rock tried to get him over and that didn't work. Then they had him just steer into it and it was a brilliant move and it was great. They didn't do that with John. Right now he's beloved because this is the end of his career. He's hanging it up. To try to do it now feels a little forced. And it feels like they did it for shock value. Maybe they're doing it because The Rock is interjecting himself creatively and he said, hey, why don't we just do this? It felt a little bit improvised, much like that much maligned Rock promo when he came back in the last couple of weeks. And that felt very off the cuff and long-winded and it wasn't a great promo. Perhaps this is more of The Rock doing some decision making that doesn't make a lot of sense with the story that they've been telling. I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure John will be great. However they book him, he is a great heel and he's great on the mic. And I think he can do great work with Cody as an antagonist. It just feels like it's coming out of left field. I would much rather have seen them take this as the opportunity to turn Cody heel. Maybe if you want to do that, he's kind of begrudgingly or reluctantly, or he says no. And then in the lead up to Cena, you start seeing more of the heel tendencies because you saw that a little bit with the Kevin Owens rivalry. You saw Cody getting more brutal and, he's kind of, was questioning Jey Uso and Jey Uso might challenge him. You kind of saw the little hints that maybe he could turn heel. Maybe continue to work through that and have him do the full heel turn at WrestleMania against John Cena. I would much rather see Cody as a heel at this point. I think Cody's an excellent heel. I think it makes more sense with what they've teased with him to have him continue that progression and then maybe turn him at WrestleMania. and either have John beat him or him beat John and finish that heel turn because he's going up against another face and a beloved baby face. That I think would have made more sense for me. I would have enjoyed that a little bit more. But we'll see. I'm going to be open-minded about it. I'm not going to say that the booking is bad. I'm going to say it kind of left me confused a little bit. I'm curious to hear what you all thought of it. If you liked it, loved it, hated it. Definitely was surprising. I think it caught everybody off guard, which is probably what the intention was. The intention was to catch everyone off guard and do something surprising and do something dynamic. And if it was anything, it was surprising. So John Cena wins, advances, and does the heel turn. The heel turn, probably the biggest announcement from Elimination Chamber. And that was it. 4 matches, short and sweet on Elimination Chamber. This one's going to be short and sweet too. So we are on the road to WrestleMania officially now, where WrestleMania is going to be in April. We've got all the main events set. You've got Jey Uso versus Gunther. You've got Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, heel John Cena. So let us know what you think about everything that transpired at Elimination Chamber. Love to hear your comments. Love to hear from all of you. And that's what I've got for this week. Next week, Big D will be back with more of his prognostication. I know you all missed it this week, but rest assured we'll be back, and we'll get his thoughts as well on the John Cena heel turn next week. But that's all I've got. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments, all that good stuff. And we appreciate your support as always. Thank you all again for all the support over the last year as we've launched the recap. We really do appreciate it. And that's what I've got. So until next time, I have been Michael D'Angelo. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you soon.